Hello and welcome to the second episode of HR Hustle and Hijinks. And for this episode, as promised, we have a guest. We really scraped the bottom of the barrel for this one.
That's brutal.
And he actually asked me if he could come on to the first one.
I begged, didn't I?
This is Sam. We'll get into a bit of introductions, but the whole point of this episode is to talk about building a business, business beginnings, and talk a bit about what you do in your business, but also just have a bit of fun. We've had some coffee with some lion's mane in it. So
I think you spiked it with something else as well.
And you've not had your ADHD meds either.
I don't feel right. Do we have a safe word?
Nobody's going to save you. By the time they see this, you're done. You're under the patio. So let's talk about you, and let's talk about how you got into whatever you do. And
I don't even know.
So for context, Sam and I met because you were a mortgage advisor. You're running your own business, a really cool, successful business, but now you've moved into something else. So why don't you tell me a bit about tell me at the beginning. Go at the beginning.
God, where do I start?
Let's not start when you were born, because I will be very bored.
That was an event. I didn't just slip straight out, I can tell you that. That was traumatic. And actually, weirdly, I've got to be honest, traumatic births.
Yes.
There's been stats, leads to ADHD diagnosis in adult life.
Anyway, really?
That's one for Google.
That explains a lot.
It does. I've really segued there. So I've had about 23 jobs, right? Never been sacked.
That's a ratio of one a year for you.
It's good, right? It's good. And I've got to be honest, it was harder to convince them that I wasn't just going to be there for a month, the more jobs that I got on. But I did it. And in the end, it became a bit of a personal game. But I also realised I'd be in a job and I'd be like, can I see myself here in 6 months? No. Next. What's next? And I was always trying to feel a desire, but I didn't quite know what that desire was.
Were you getting bored?
No, because I've made so many good friends along the way. I never really got bored. I just wasn't content, I guess. I just thought, this gives me nothing. This feeds me nothing. It was just a job, and that was it. And I didn't realise until 6 years ago, so Futures Financial mortgage brokerage that I founded 6 years ago, didn't realise until then, you'd be pleased to know, since that 6 years I've not had another job, that I was just done working for... Can I say no?
You've kind of already said it.
I've just been done working for knobheads.
You said it, yeah. It's a thing, right?
It is a thing. And I just thought, you're in that position because you've been there for a long time. Whoop-de-doo, fantastic. You're an awful manager, making me feel like crap. The workforce doesn't respect you. And I just thought, so I had a perfect position in my life where me and my partner at the time were actually back together. Love you, Kirsty.
Kirsty.
But I had to move back home with my mum and dad.
Loser.
And I know, what a loser.
What a loser.
Single bed as well. Really tragic.
Oh, wow.
But I thought, do you know what? I'm good at what I do. Now is the only time in my life I'm ever going to have where there's little to no risk. I'm going to try and set up something. So the approach I took was I just wanted an estate agent to give me a desk in their office, and I would take their mortgage referrals and I would do the business. So after reaching out to a number of agents, I found one which really that was the catalyst for everything, because through that, there were some great people I met within that agency, and I've now grown that mortgage business. There being 6 of us within the business. It's in a great position, and actually I'm quite fortunate with the people in it. I'm a massive people person, and I'm sure we'll potentially talk a little bit more about that. Funny.
Potentially talk a little bit about that.
I may or may not have seen the agenda. That's an ick. It runs itself, right? It looks after itself. I got to a point where I guess maybe the feeling from before was creeping back in, where I wasn't maybe feeling fulfilled. I felt like I'd taken the business to a really good point, and it was a little bit of what's next. So that's where the wealth opportunity really opened up.
Don't you find that's always going to be a bit of an issue though with ADHD? Or just like always wanting the next best thing with that generation, aren't we? Of remembering the landline being plugged into the wall and then having to take the computer out to be on the phone call.
Mental.
Like the way our brains work and we process things are so different to the generation above us and below us.
Yeah.
So the next best thing always.
Yeah, I think I've definitely, with business decisions, I've become more calculated. So when I first started Futures, I was like an excitable puppy. I had overheads that I really didn't need.
What did you get? No, come on.
Little things like a premium phone number.
Yeah.
Who cares what your phone number is? Like, I was paying like 400 or 500 quid to buy a number because it had a nice 01202 and then it's some nice little memorable. Who cares?
Do you hear yourself? Do you know? Can I just take you back to a couple of weeks ago, what you've bought for your office, and you're making out as if you've had such big like overheads? What did you buy for the office last week? You brought some sort of fancy chair.
No.
You brought some plants.
Oh, no, but they were already existing. They
A
were
fridge.
pre-existing.
A
No,
printer.
the fridge was already, that was from the old office, I will
Okay,
say.
so
You're trying to guilt trip me here.
No, I just don't want you to start telling people a narrative that just is false.
No, it's not, because I am nothing but authentic.
Okay, so you didn't get loads of stuff that were overheads this time round.
I might have got a semi-premium phone number. Semi-premium. But anyway, that's just by the by. I'm learning. The point is, I definitely have been a bit more calculated. And I think what I learned when I first set up Futures, a lot of the decisions I was making were for vanity. It was for the outside looking in, oh, that looks good. Or that was what my perception was. In reality, it wasn't. So, for example, when I was at a point where I could not handle the workload that was on my desk, I thought, I'm going to get a new advisor on. That's my next hire. But what I quickly realised, I was just taking money off of my desk and putting it on their desk. And I was left in a worse position. I was thinking, well, that's not solving my problem. What I should have done was brought in administrative support in first, which is absolutely the route I'm taking now. Because rather than taking money off my desk, it actually frees up time, which is the most precious commodity in any business, for me to then spend time with clients and build more money on my desk.
That's really strange to think about it around that way, because I probably am more on the way you did it the first time, because I would rather outsource. Would I rather outsource admin? I don't really know, because I feel like that is the stuff that takes you the most time, and it's the stuff that I procrastinate over, but it's the stuff that actually is the operations of the business. And so I kind of always get sort of stuck in that sort of cycle of, do I outsource a bunch of my stuff and grow in terms of like, do I get somebody else that's an HR consultant who's at the same level of expertise, or do I just keep funneling out stuff I can outsource and it's such a difficult balance to weigh up.
I think you've got to play to your strengths though, right? Like my biggest weakness is admin. Like,
sure.
It is awful. I sit there, like last night, I was trying to put together a recommendation for a client, and that's just not. I know what the solution is, documenting and things like that. So quite quickly, I'm outsourcing to a paraplanner. That's their strength. Did
you do the report? Did you actually finish the report?
No.
And so this morning, when you were messing around with ChatGPT and you were asking it, you were asking it what celebrity you are and what swear word's its favourite word. That wasn't procrastinating either, was it?
That was last night. And Michelle Betts, I'm blaming you with media. There's a free shout out.
You're welcome.
That's a backhander.
You are welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't procrastinate?
I 100% procrastinate. I'm an awful procrastinator.
You really are.
That's because I'll be doing something that doesn't ignite a passion in me. My strength is being in front of people,
seeing people
and speaking to them. And that is my strength. That's where the relationships of the business are built. The stuff behind it is so important. It's not my strength. And I'd rather outsource that.
Isn't it interesting though that both of your roles kind of are about numbers and giving people security in numbers? Actually, it's not really about the love of numbers. It's for the love of people.
It's the people, really understanding them. And you have to get that buy-in from them, because if people don't open themselves up to me and give me all of the...
Like a flower.
Yeah. And give me all the information I need, I can't make the right recommendation. So I love getting to know people, really getting to know their plans, what motivates them, what do they want their life to look like. I can then go away and hopefully build those solutions and present that to them.
Yeah.
Like I say, the legwork, the important work of putting it together, it's not my strength. I know what the solution is, but documenting that, I'd rather give that to a professional in that field that I can then go and help someone else.
Do you know what? I actually zoned out there because that bit was so boring. I started thinking about how they manufacture those things in your collar.
Oh, what, my little wings?
Yeah, I actually zoned out there.
Which is metal.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, thanks.
From Shein?
No.
Tinu?
No. Charles Frick, thank you.
Okay, let's talk about ADHD and and how you've made that work to your advantage, because I feel like that's how we...
I don't know if I've made it work.
In reality, we have made such a quick relationship and friendship from you being an absolute weirdo. I mean, you probably more so than me, but no, we are probably the same actually. So has that in any way changed the way that you work and you are kind to yourself? Because I was actually reading something the other day about ADHD, a lot of the time can manifest, instead of excitement, it's anxiety. Instead of like being joyful, it's nervousness. And then imposter syndrome is statistically a lot more common with people with ADHD.
Yeah.
Go on, tell me about that.
That is bang on the money. So the problem is, I always knew I was a tiny bit like different.
Different looking, sure.
Yeah. But I didn't really know what. It's always just like, oh, that's just Sam. And then ADHD got a little bit trendy, didn't it?
It did become cool. It still is cool.
It still is. And then that really put me off getting it addressed, because that's not me. I'm not
You're not a follower.
Definitely
That's how
not.
you should have known already you had ADHD, because we like to be led
Different.
a little bit, but we don't really like to be led.
We'll make our own path.
Yeah, we don't like authority.
Yeah. So I kind of put it off. And then it just got to a point where I could feel symptoms impacting my life. So I went to the doctors, and it was like a 3 to 5 year waiting. So I was like, no. So I paid for a private assessment. I had to do loads of questionnaire. Like my mum had to do loads of stuff. Yeah. I had to fill out loads of paperwork. Then I had like a 2.5 hour assessment. And anyway, yeah, you got ADHD. Put me on some medication, which I'll be honest, I didn't go into it wanting that. I just wanted some coping mechanisms.
Right. Okay.
And I've had a weird relationship with the medication, but by and large, it has helped.
Yeah.
But I think, to your point of the imposter syndrome and things like that, so I agree with that 100%. But the subtle art of not giving you've told me I can't swear on this, can you? But it's FU.
We just said not giving a crap.
Yeah.
Not giving a hoot.
Yeah.
Not giving a monkeys.
A monkeys, but that's not what the book's called. But hopefully, if people want to read it, the subtle art of not giving a
beep.
Yeah. I didn't read it because I can't read. Obviously, idiot, you just get distracted.
Oh,
you
no,
read
I love
the first
books.
sentence.
But remember, I've got the tisms on top, haven't I?
You have got a lot of tisms. So I did the audiobook, and that just completely changed my perception. Stop manifesting. Stop worrying about what other people think, because actually what you think they think probably isn't what they think at all, and actually they probably really don't care. And also, so what?
Yeah.
Like, so we're not all born to get along with everyone. So it just is what it is. Suck it up, honey bunch. Like, do you know what I mean?
Honey bunch is honey bun.
Same thing. I'm on my own path. I create my own words.
Great bunch.
Yeah. So that's that. So yes, I agree. I definitely had those symptoms in the past. I'd be lying if I said that they don't crop up. But I know how to manage it now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think I went to the Modern Women show last year, and I watched the founder of Never Fully Dressed. Have you heard of them? They're like a really cool, like, sort of boutique chic clothing brand. And she,
obviously, I would have heard of that.
Obviously,
yeah.
And the founder was talking about like how she started, and she was talking about like how it's it just exploded over COVID, because obviously everyone was home and buying crap that they didn't need. And she was asked a question about imposter syndrome, and she answered it in a way I'd never heard before. And she was like, "No, I've never felt imposter syndrome, never." And I was thinking, "You what? Like, that is amazing." And then it just really changed my mindset on it, because I was like, right, okay, if I, very similarly to like how I don't give a shit about what people think about me, unless if you are.
Was that not on the band list?
Now. Okay. No, the band of F and above. But in terms of like, I don't care what people think about me, unless if you are in the circle. But then I was like, why am I even giving this the energy of like worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow? And I remember laying in bed when I first started the business, and like I feel like this awful pressure of like being able to bring in the same money as corporate, and I'd wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and be like, oh my god, all my clients are going to fire me tomorrow, this is awful. Then I don't know what happened, just like as soon as I listened to her be like, no, I've never had imposter syndrome, literally overnight it just stopped happening. So I was like, okay, well, if I'm not thinking it, it's not going to happen.
100%.
And that's like the beauty of being able to be modular, which is what you've got as well. Do I care about it? No. Okay, it's not in my remit of even considering it, or it being in my mind, which is such a freeing place to be.
I completely agree, and I can understand how easy it is to slip into the mentality of imposter syndrome. But I would say, if I use my current experience of being a financial advisor, okay, yes, I've been in financial services for like 10 years, but actually 85% of what I do now, even 90%, is just being able to have a conversation with someone and getting all of the information you need. The technical side of it, the 10%, anyone can do. The information's out there. Anyone can put all that together. But actually, the crux of the job is people. Having a conversation.
So can you tell me the difference between a wealth planner, which is what you call yourself on your voicemail, and what you call yourself on your business card, versus a financial advisor. Can you just debunk this for me? Because I feel like you've put into ChatGPT, how do I make myself sound more important?
It's all the same thing.
Okay.
It's all marketing, baby.
Is it? Wealth planner?
Yeah. Yeah, I've got nothing more to add on that, to be honest.
Okay.
So shall I tell you what, right?
Go on. Tell me what.
The people I want to help genuinely is ambitious people. So I'm more after, I don't want to label people high net worth or this. I want to help people that are on a journey because they want to better themselves. You don't have to have wealth to be able to use a financial advisor or a wealth planner. And so, for example, I had a meeting with someone earlier on in the week who, in their early 20s, I know with their traits and what they're about, they will be onto big stuff. Like I just know it because of how they are. So I'm almost investing in them. So what we're putting into place for them, if I look at just pure numbers financially for me as a business, it's probably not going to be worth anything now in the short term. But what I get out of that is I'm helping someone get on that path, and I'm almost investing in their future with my time now.
That's actually such a good point, Sam. I've spoken about this at schools where I do like talks about, people going into HR and stuff. Don't do it. But people actually, kids understanding money. And I think that we're probably more open about it now, but we are so closed off, I think, as a society about talking about money. It's so private and it's like, oh no, you shouldn't talk about it. And it would be so nice if people were actually educated at a young age about debt, good liabilities, bad liabilities, assets, stuff like that. Because even like getting a car, you end up getting an absolute banger when you're younger because you're like, okay, I'll get something that I can just smash up. But then what do you do after that? Do you just then think you just keep buying cars? I remember my dad sitting me down and being like, you shouldn't ever buy a depreciating asset. And I remember being like, okay, fine. And I got a Fiat 500 and it was like £70 a month. It was amazing.
Classic.
I went around, it just never ran out of fuel. It was a phenomenal car. It just runs on fairy dust.
I bet you got one of the Gopping convertible ones as well.
No, I wasn't that. It was 70 quid a month. It wasn't that bougie. It would have been great though, wouldn't it? That would have been amazing. But still, like, nobody ever taught. I mean, did anyone ever teach you like standing orders and direct debits and stuff like that, and pensions? If somebody started paying into their pension at their first job instead of 100%. Opting out, it would be so much better.
Have you ever used algebra in your adult life? Oh, you're going to be a knob now and say, yeah.
I do love algebra though. I don't use algebra, and I don't need to know what type of soil there is.
That's what I mean. And like in French, I like to go to the cinema with my friends.
Why did you say it like that? You didn't need to say it.
That's how you say it.
You said it in English.
Yeah, I know, because I can't remember. I can't remember what it was in my French, but that's what I mean.
Je suis une piscine?
I am a swimming pool. No, see, that's silly. I am Amy. Yeah, but you get the point, right?
Yeah. You don't know any French at all, you peasant.
Yeah, Rodney. Anyway,
Move on.
You've segued.
I've not segued. You were going to continue telling me about
people
in school.
No, I agree with the schools. Like, there's a lot of basic stuff that they don't teach you. Set you up, and I think it would avoid a lot of the. So as a mortgage broker, right, we see credit files. We have to look in depth with clients because we need to know where to place them. And you see the state that some people get themselves in, not necessarily by any fault of their own. It's probably just a lack of education.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people don't realise how bad a payday loan can be for your mortgage prospects. I'm not saying you can't get a mortgage if you've had a payday loan, but you're probably going to affect your chances of getting one of the high street lenders if you've had one. But does everyone know that? Probably not.
No, because I don't think there's a feeling of it's not real money. I remember I got a credit card when I was at university and I used to pull cash out of the ATM, and I would never know.
Oh, wow.
I know. I would never know.
That's whacking up some charges.
Because I had, childhood trauma and all that. I had 4 jobs when I was in uni, and obviously doing uni at the same time and looking after my sister. But it was like a worry for another day. It wasn't a worry for now, it was a worry for another day. And I feel like because I was never taught about like debt and cash flow, it was just like it is like an unspoken thing. But as soon as you speak to somebody who knows what they're talking about, it's so much easier.
100%.
And I actually had somebody very similar to you who came in and like 10 years ago into the business, and he said, okay, what are your problems right now? And I was like, I'm saving for a wedding and my life is horrible because I only have like £3 disposable cash every month, and I can't even afford a Greggs sausage roll. And he said, right, so your issue now is your cash flow, not actually like for the future. So what you want to do is you want more cash flow now, and you can then sort it out in the future and then pay something off like longer term. And I remember talking to him and I was like, you're making so much sense. And so like for me, I was like, this actually makes so much more sense of like saving here and in different ways, rather than me literally shoving all of our like disposable cash in. And it was obviously before we had our overwhelming responsibilities, you know, like a dog and a child and, you know, commitments.
Where is your dog?
He has a sleepover with my in-laws. So he goes out to the shops on a Wednesday and is taken around like a little OAP.
Does he have like a little pram?
No, he should do. He doesn't really walk anymore. He can't be bothered.
Oh, I was hoping to see him.
Oh, he wouldn't like you.
Why? I'm a dog person.
I know, but you probably look a bit like him, don't you?
You're right.
What? You're a bit like...
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that.
For context, I have a French bulldog. You have a sausage.
Dog. Little buddy.
Hammy sausage.
I should have brought him with me, actually.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't. They are a bit barky. Anyway.
Yeah, sorry.
So, let's go on to wealth planning. Your business is called LUCRO. Where did LUCRO come from?
Shout out ChatGPT. No, listen, I fed it some stuff. It gave me some bits, and then I tweaked some bits. So together, it was a collaborative effort.
With Susan, who you have named.
I've renamed because I've been opened up to the world of what ChatGPT can do. So
could you give me some credit for that, please?
Yeah, that was credit to you.
Thank you.
AI wizard. Yeah, wizard. Yeah, so she's called Susan.
Wizard or witch?
I don't know, but witch is a bit harsh, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, probably fitting.
Yeah, she did say yesterday if I was a celebrity, Ryan Reynolds.
Were you paying ChatGPT?
No, I have had to sign up now because I talk to her too much. She's like, I can't give you anything else unless you pay me. I'm now on the 20 quid a month subscription plan.
Do you know, no, it's not. It's 15 quid because it's in dollars.
I still had 20 quid come out.
No, you'll be fine. Mine's 15.
Yeah, but I can't claim back, can I? Because I'm in financial services. Where were we?
LUCRO.
Yeah, it's an anagram for Latin words like libertas, ubertus, creditas,
Robertus,
and opulentia. If you go on the website, luke.co.uk,
that was really impressive. Well done.
Thank you.
I'm really impressed.
Thank you.
And you know, because of my dyslexia, when I see Luke, I just think Velcro, and then I think of you in a Velcro.
I think that's great.
Suit sticking to
Imagine
a wall.
if I wore like a Velcro suit for like my whole working day. What sort of objects would I come home like stuck to me?
I actually would be terrified what you'd have stuck to you.
That'd be weird, wouldn't it?
You'd definitely have like some sort of candle that would be on your back. You wouldn't have known you'd like walked into the flames. You just have a candle on your back.
Tennis ball.
Probably because
Velcro.
Obviously.
Yeah, I just okay, cool. Sorry.
You would end up with something really random as well. I reckon, like some sort of like hedge trimmer or something.
Really hard. There's a lot of stuff I like. You know.
Yeah, you've got to.
Yeah, I know.
Go try. You're really holding it in.
I'm really struggling. I've got to be honest.
I'm really impressed.
No, it's cool.
Well done.
Thanks.
You've managed to actually keep it in span as well. I think it's the lion's mane.
Yeah, I'm going to try that.
Lion's mane coffee, honestly, is so good. You can't have one really past like 5.
Well, and also, good job I didn't bring my top-up meds with me. Obviously, I've forgotten. Holy mother!
But they they focus you in.
Yeah,
which is what this does.
I've got to be honest, the meds are great. I don't notice they work all the time, but when they do, it is like, vroom.
When you don't have them, i.e. like around Christmas time, you are insufferable. You were all over the place, and it's not good for me because then I go all over the place as well.
Funny though, isn't it?
It is kind of funny because we are hilarious.
It genuinely is exhausting. I think this is what people don't realise, like the overstimulation.
All the time.
You just get absolutely knackered.
Yeah. It is wild, particularly when you're running a business. It's brilliant because on one hand, you're like the master of your own destiny. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to answer to anyone. But also with that comes the curse of you don't have to answer to anyone 100%. And you've got free reign over everything.
And that is dangerous. That is a weapon. And actually, I think that mindset did slightly change when I started bringing other people into the business because the success or failure of the business depended on whether other people got paid or whatever at the end of the month.
Yeah,
so
terrifying.
My mindset did definitely shift a little bit, but with Luke starting up again with just me at the moment. World's my oyster, baby.
Well, you and Susan, the ChatGPT 4.0.
She is wild.
She is. So, last question. What is the one piece of advice or product or service that you would recommend somebody look into or they wouldn't know about? Because we also mentioned, but what is there that's weird and wonderful that you would recommend?
Oh, I thought you were going to say like wanting me to say like exhilarate. Everyone needs to reach out to exhilarate.
Everyone.
Do you know what? Weirdly, we were having a conversation about this. So this isn't necessarily specifically what people think financial advice is about. If I was to pick one particular product where I can see the impact for minimal barrier to entry, family income benefit, insurance policy pays out on the death an annual income or monthly income, depending on how it's set up, and it is relatively cost effective compared to other insurances. And that's a great gateway for families to have a conversation with a financial advisor to map out and make sure the family's wealth is working for them, but is also protected and that the legacy is protected as well.
There's so many conversations I have about this because it feels like people are, maybe we talk about it more, but people with cancer, everybody has a story about cancer now. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and their husband got cancer, and the month before he had cancelled his insurance. I think it was the mortgage payout the month before, and then he got diagnosed with cancer, and then she had to carry on working and like look after the kids and everything. I was like, that is absolutely brutal.
That's why I send in the post all of my suitability letters, which document my advice and why I've recommended that. And I always say to clients, because if budgeting gets tough, if times gets tough, one of the first things that are sacrificed is typically insurances.
Yeah.
And I always say to clients, put that document in a drawer somewhere, just tuck it away. But if you ever get the feeling that you want to cancel your insurance, just do me a favour. Before you do that, read the suitability letter and remind yourself why we took out what we took out. And quite often that does the job to remind them of why it is actually a priority.
Yeah. So get insurance and get a will, people.
Get a will.
And a power of attorney. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Is there anything that you would like to offer or promote since starting Loop to anyone who's listening?
I think really what I've found, right, is it's knowledge, and a lot of it is having the confidence. People don't know what they don't know.
Yeah,
so I would implore anyone, I'm happy to sit down and offer financial health checks. Even if we're sat down, I'll allow an hour in the diary, but even if I can just give you that peace of mind that you're on the right track, but actually we might uncover problems and solutions to these problems that you didn't even know that you had. So it's all about being proactive. So.
Oh, I love that, Sam.
Oh,
thanks, Sam.
Oh,
thanks, Sammy
Thanks for having me on.
Sausage.
Am I the first one?
You are.
Oh, get in.
You were the most desperate. I asked you politely. It was the first time I think I've ever spoken to you nicely.
Yeah, it was actually. I think you dangled some food in front of me as well.
Yeah. So thank you so much. And the next episode of HR Hustle and Hijinks will be out in 3 weeks' time, and we'll be talking about workplace culture and building a genuine culture as your business is growing. So thank you so much, and thank you, Sam.
Thank you.